Hello, we are testing and we're live. Woohoo! Welcome everybody to lesson 2. Okay, so we're gonna wait for people to start streaming in. And as usual, I will be looking at. Hey, okay, so I can see comments now, which is awesome. And I'm going to just double check this so I don't miss out on the comments and I can hi. Oh, great, Nina, Yifan. Thanks for responding and making sure that this is all running smoothly as well. So all of you guys are helping me so much, so much, and you are also able to help each other. So if anyone has a problem with looking for something or whatever, post it up there, and then somebody else you want to help and you step in and help, please do. Okay, there's so many of us here, Smarty Pants. So I'm receiving the comments happily. I'm so glad. So today I'm going to start with some housekeeping. Then we're going to talk about the timelines. So this is a question that get asked about. I'm going to share my story throughout the lecture anyway, but I figured that, you know what, I don't want to focus on myself. I want to focus on you and what you need to know. Okay, so everything's going to be there, and everything that I say is to serve you all. This is why we're all here. This is why there are 60 of us in this group coming together in this unprecedented time, COVID, but we're huddling together and we're sharing knowledge, we're learning, and everybody is here because they want to do something different for themselves and for their family. And I'm so honored to be able to guide you in doing this. So timelines for health, and then we're going to talk about the 5 levels of healing, which I like very much to talk about when I'm talking about how we heal from long-term chronic illness and repeated burnouts, which is what I had gone through. And then we will talk about the routines that we need for resilience and building resilience, especially in this time, but in all times anyway. And we'll talk about my background, and I'm going to touch on toxin-free living and what that really means. Okay, so housekeeping, all the lectures, I have now organized them into tags or topic tags, and there are orientation messages which you can find on the main discussions main page for the group. And then once I upload the handouts for today and this video today, I will tag them all under lesson 2. So I'll carry on doing that for lesson 3 and 4. Okay, so the documents that you need are the lecture schedule, all your handouts, watch the video and watch the video again as well, and help each other out. And the questions, comments are there. I'll be going in to answer your questions in that particular post as well. And what else was there? Oh, there were polls. Yeah, the poll showed me that most of you want to know about immunity and followed by burnout. Okay, so I'm well aware of that. And we can pretty much start now. There are 30 plus of you here, and let's go. So I'm going to talk for 20 minutes and we're going to leave 20 minutes for Q&A, or at least that's my plan. Okay, let's just see how this goes and what everybody needs from this. So the question that I ask about and get asked a lot is, how long does it take to get well from so-and-so? How long am I going to need to get well? And of course, with different conditions, it's a different timeline. But here is how I think about it. When I plan out a protocol, phase 1, 2, and 3 for somebody, the phase 1 is always going to be ensuring that your body has the right raw materials, i.e., nutrients and vitamins, to do its job. So the body wants to heal. That is the natural equilibrium. And the only reason why it's not healing is that either something's not being provided for it or there's something, or so nutrients are the first piece that I always talk about. And there's also a great reason why this course takes 2 weeks. 2 weeks is about the time that it takes for us to figure out the nutrient deficit. And when you're replacing that, it takes about 2 weeks for you to also feel the difference. Of course, after that, it's going to take about 3 months for you to build on that. But then feeling the difference is almost instant, actually, or within 2 weeks. So, for example, if there was a severe zinc deficiency in relation to copper, which I went through in the last lesson, replacing this zinc, you're going to feel it in about 2 weeks. Okay, magnesium, when you replace magnesium, you're going to feel it in about a day or so. So in nutrients timeline, replacement of lost nutrients or depleted nutrients, the timeline is 2 weeks. Then my next phase of treatment, usually everyone's different, but usually will be about the hormones. And hormones meaning the thyroid, the adrenal system, and the estrogen and progesterone system, and for men, testosterone as well. And I would count insulin in hormones as well, because insulin resistance is a big factor in PCOS, which is lumped together with a hormonal disorder. But anyway, so nutrients, 2 weeks. Hormones, and getting into hormones, especially with women's hormones, I would say it averages at around 3 menstrual cycles, which is 3 months. Okay, and if you were to talk about a range, 2 months to 6 months, people start feeling the difference of our treatment for balancing the hormones, estrogen, progesterone especially. This is the same timeline for thyroid as well. Okay, adrenal system is also a hormone, and that's a very important thing, because the adrenal gland produces cortisol, which is our stress hormone, and that is the key to burnout. Actually, when we're stressed, we're producing a lot of cortisol. It's using all the resources and then dampening everything else. Adrenal recovery takes about 6 to 12 months, or I want the person to focus on this for 6 to 12 months. Because you're not focusing on it and you're getting lost and everything like that, you lose momentum, you lose track, and then you kind of give up. So if you've got any level of burnout and adrenal fatigue and you wish to recover from it, you've got to put a minimum of 6 months aside. Okay, and adrenal piece, almost everybody has some level of adrenal fatigue unless you've been working on your health already. Okay, and for hormones and estrogen dominance and progesterone depletion and menopause as well, this is the same timeline. Okay, between 2 months and 6 months. I know it's a wide timeline, but everybody comes in with a very different body condition. All right, and then usually for my phase 3 to 4, like the later phases, once we've got these pieces in place, the last phase I will look into, and very important basis of health as well, is the gut, the GI system, how we are assimilating and how we're digesting our food, whether the gut is leaky and we are having food sensitivities and intolerances. All those things take time to investigate, collect the sample, the stool sample, look at the stool sample, plan a protocol. When the body has already been recovering phase 1 and phase 2 items, then we will do the gut healing, which will take most gut healing protocols 2 months, 3 months, and it cycles. Sometimes it's not just good enough to do a gut cleansing detox once. You might go back, rest, and then you carry on doing gut detox again at some point later on. So it's a lifestyle. Actually, it becomes a lifestyle depending on how deep your injuries or your disease process has already set in. And most people who come to me, the disease process, I can even explain it to them from when it started, even around the perinatal period, around birth. So if you're coming to me 20 years, 30 years on, there's a lot of work to be done. But the first step is sorting out your nutrients, and that's why this course is really about that. And that's why the first lecture just told you all the nutrients that if you focused on, 60-70% of you are gonna really start feeling better real quick. Okay, in fact, most and everyone. So those are the timelines for health that I use as a general guideline when I'm explaining to the patients that I see, so we keep our eyes on the goal and we are able to pace ourselves. Okay, then I'd like to talk about the levels of healing. So talking about timelines for health, replacing nutrients, using herbs and supplements, doing functional medicine or doing conventional medicine, changing up your diet, removing toxins. This is actually, to me, the first level of health, the physical. Okay. And I'll send you I'll put out a diagram. Okay. But with understanding that our 4 more levels of health is that the energetic, we are made out of not just the physical plane, but we're made up of the energetic plane, the mental plane, the intuitive plane, and the spiritual plane right on the top. Okay, so it goes bottom to top. When your body is not good, I don't think you can expect yourself to be absolutely motivated and think happy thoughts all the time. It's going to affect your mental plane. If you're too sick to get out of bed, then you won't be able to continue a spiritual practice, and it will hinder the ability for you to achieve your spiritual alignment or do your spiritual practices. And the same thing going back down. So when you've got on the top your spiritual health, if there is a disbalance or a disconnect with the spiritual health, it will trickle down and affect the intuitive level. It will affect the mental level. You'll feel a disbalance there. Then you feel a disbalance in the energetic level. And then you feel better when you do acupuncture or sort out the meridian points. That's at the energetic level. And if it goes long enough unaddressed, it comes out in the physical level, inflammation, autoimmunity, overuse of nutrients, and therefore the depletion of nutrients, repeated bouts of stress, anxiety, and so on. And then it becomes chemical. So in treating these, there are so many layers, and I like to, we need to address all these areas, but we also need to be quite step by step. So the reason of me, it's a little bit overwhelming maybe, but this lesson is more to really, set the tone for how you want to think about your health moving forward consciously, not about the physical. Okay, and too many people get stuck in the detail of the physical and burnout, because I specialize in burnout, they burn out even more. So this is the vicious cycle that people get stuck in that I don't get pulled into, all right, in order to help. Okay, so in the 5 levels of healing, it's very good to have a very good understanding of what functional medicine is and work with good functional medicine experienced doctor, have a medical doctor around, who can advise you on the best diets, the herbs, and be safe about all that. Next level, energetic level, is where you can look into meridians, qigong, right, to address the energetic level of you. So these are all holistic complementary therapies that can become part of your self-care and your lifestyle that will help to pull things together. It's not just about the physical, it helps to pull things together. Some of us have experienced agitation of a deeper level. And then we go for psychotherapy, counseling, to address the mental, emotional state of mind. Anyone here can know for sure that if you're feeling very disbalanced, your heart rate raises up. So it affects your physical in that downward fashion. Or when you're feeling upset about something, your heart rate goes up. And then, when we're feeling chronically stressed, our cortisol goes up. These are the physical manifestations of a mental, emotional disbalance. So addressing disbalances at every level, for me, augments the entire process. Okay? Of course, for the purpose of this course, we are targeting the items that I always go for first and are commonly missed. So that one solves a lot of problems. Then we step and step and step. So step by step. Okay, but setting the tone. In the intuitive realm, we have things like hypnotherapy, family constellation. And I've tried these things as well before in my healing journey, and that's why I know about it. And right at the top, and really the number one thing, is accessing your spirituality. Like it or not, everybody has a spiritual side, and how you access this is very individual. For some, it might be going to the seaside. For some, it might be looking at nature. For some, it might be in gardening or writing or singing. And for others, they have a more formal practice of chanting or meditation, right? And for others, they are more religious, and they're going to church and saying their prayers and growing in their spiritual formation in that way as well. So these are the things. And I'm sharing these with you because I understand them deeply, and I really believe in this manner of holistic treatment, because we are not just molecules and physical parts sewn up together. We are made up out of all these parts, which we must recognize as well if we were to want to heal long term. Okay. And a healing process is a journey. And to be able to track your journey, I love to journal. Yes, so one of my handouts is about journaling. Why? Journaling has been proven for post-traumatic stress, trauma, for people who have been through life experiences, or purely just to process the changes. There is something about creating something, writing something, and getting feelings out that helps the mind to process, and it will help you to even express it in words as well. And we know that expression can be very healing as well. So this is really part of the healing journey. I'm going to share with you my template that I use for journaling. And I encourage you to set up a routine in order that you can have the time to journal. So moving on to the third topic already, which is routines for resilience. So you know how when COVID happened and when we lost our routine, it's very upsetting, right? So now then you want to make sure, then you change your routines again, and then you put stability in your day. So why we all sway and get ill and all that, possibly we're not spending enough time in self-care. We're living the way the world is living, and the world is not spending enough time in self-care. And you're living like your neighbor or living like your friends, and you're eating like your neighbor and like your friends, but everybody's not going about it the right way. And then you follow them and you think this is normal, and it's not, doesn't suit you. And other people might look like they're doing okay and you expect to be like them, but you don't know what's going on underneath in their health, right? So routines for resilience, we're going to talk really a little bit more about routines as well in lesson 4. This is quite dynamic, by the way. I'm kind of, wanting to serve you with the information that you need. So even some of the topics for lesson 4, I'm changing around because a lot of you want to know about diet, which we want to go into properly. Will be good, right? So some of you that have been working with me already will know what a stickler I am for a good routine. Especially mummies who really, if you're not careful about putting at least 20 minutes aside for yourself a day, then of course in a week it's like about 3 hours that you're missing for yourself. And some people pay a lot of money for 3 hours of counseling psychotherapy when actually spending that money, that time better for yourself with and to encourage your own self-healing as well. Okay, all right. So on the topic of routines, that also helps and is very relevant for the what I'm going to go through later as to when to take your supplements. If you haven't got a routine, it's very difficult for us to think when you're going to take your supplements, because if you wake up and you just go, you're going to forget your supplements no matter how bioavailable, how pure, how expensive it is. If you forget to take it, because people do, if you just can't manage to take it, then you can't heal, right? So the basis of it is having a regular routine. Like if I want to tell you drink more water, but when do you actually drink more water? Do you even have time and space to do that? So again, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, and 20 minutes of an evening routine as well. So we slot the nutrients in those windows as well that you have for yourself. Okay, and when you're taking nutrients, this is a little bit on the energetic side as well, but when you're taking nutrients, even your multivite and using, you don't take it in a hush hush and then swallow and then you go. You take it and you use that time as a time to center yourself, as a time to breathe in the good and breathe out the stress. And it becomes even more powerful as well when you combine nutrients with a very sound mental emotional state. Because it's been proven, people who eat food and are happy eating their food have higher levels of IgA in the saliva. People who eat their food and believe that it's going to be good for them, the belief increases your IgA in your saliva. Isn't this wonderful? So belief and adding those two together can be so powerful, really powerful, when we tag the nutrient intake with a self-care routine and a state of mind. Okay? Right. So talking about state of mind, it is a natural avenue to go down into my topic of toxin-free living. Why state of mind and toxin-free living? Okay, so people ask me, glyphosate, no good. Oh no, all the mercury in the seawater now, no good. Plastic residues, perfumes, this one cannot, that one also cannot. Um, what else? You know, organic food and non-organic food. How do we make sense of this toxic world that we live in? Right? So it's good to that, understand a little bit, but also not to live your life in fear. And we're all in the right place because we're here fixing our nutrients and fixing our body condition so that the body is functioning smoothly, excreting smoothly, and removing toxins smoothly so that minute amounts of environmental toxins are not going to make you wobble out of health. Foundational health, not sexy, fancy ingredients, but your nutrients, what we went through yesterday. Do you all remember? Iron, zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, and selenium. Okay. So, why I talked about the mind and then we moved on to toxin free living is that, and belief is that you can also use you can also, by preventing, what am I trying to say? Preventing toxins in your life, right? By keeping out the food and blocking, closing from air pollution and all this. We need to also protect our mind and live in a toxin-free manner with our minds as well. Don't Be careful of what you read about and be careful of your state of mind, and you will actually have better immunity. Yes, the salivary IgA levels. All you need to remember is that study. Okay. Um, Otherwise, we get into this situation of fear. And if you live in fear, this is bad for the adrenals. You feel bad for the adrenals, you're going to get burnout over and over and over again because everybody's just fearful and cutting out this toxin and that toxin. I mean, you know what? It's all about a balance. If we don't have control over if we have very little control, we try to control it. But we can't control that, and we focus on that, and we're so fearful. But actually, you focus on what you can control, which is your body condition and the toxin-free mind and mental state, and focusing on happiness and joy and trust that your body is healing and that your body is going to be able to take care of stuff. That frame of mind, when you take nutrients, the nutrients are going to work so much better. Okay. And yeah, so there are other questions about organic and non-organic. That's another lecture altogether. And then GM and pesticides, which I'll also kind of address in the chat, which I've already had with one of you. Okay, so that's really kind of the big framework within which I work. A big level of it is quite intuitive as well with individuals. But my background is this. I've never really said this to too many people and publicly as well. So you guys, my special crowd. So, as a doctor, right? We're expected to, know everything and all that, and be forever successful and this and that. That was a huge pressure on me. And I found myself burnt out first at medical school because I didn't know how to take care of myself and I was a teenager. And then at medical school, I was eating protein powders for sustenance, protein powders and vitamins, and no actual food, you know? And I thought I had it cracked because, medicine, right? It's all about the chemical properties and all that. No, you need whole foods. Okay, there's still some people here as well who still live on protein powder and they think that, oh, this is the new, not right. We'll talk about diet in lesson 4. I burnt out, and then you get that apathy, and then that fatigue and bloating, and I had verrucas everywhere. My immunity was poor. Verrucas are plantar warts on the feet. They just like kept growing and growing, and I knew that it's your immunity, your immune system, and then of course you catch colds and all that easily. And I thought I recovered, and I thought I learned something. Mm-hmm. But then, as an intern, got into the same situation again. And this time round, it probably was, I was not stable. My moods were poor, and then every time PMS came, I would want to. I knew I would need to shut myself out from the world. So I couldn't even trust my own thoughts anymore. I was I was depressed. I was kind of being considered for using antidepressants at that point, but chose not to. You know, so mood will be off, your hormones will be off. I was having eczema like anything, but you learn, right? And I found my spiritual practice, and I found my way out, and I got hold of good mentors, a counselor, and all this. Then the third burnout happened, a mini burnout, I would say. This was like 10 months ago. It's not even that long ago. I had, and mums will understand this, I had my second child, Amelia, and I hadn't accepted my new ability or new role or something. How do I even explain it? See, I haven't even like said this to anyone before, but I was expecting the same of myself, having produced and birthed 2 babies. And I think a lot of mums in this group are doing this as well, and this is not right. Okay, so if we are expecting the same of ourselves because other people will expect the same of you. They don't know what you can and cannot take and what you should and shouldn't take. But I wanted to do exactly the same things that I was doing before 2 kids. Now, with 1 kid, it was okay, and I have a helper and a supportive husband. I still managed to, but the second came around, and then I just didn't adjust my expectations of myself. And then, boom, that constant fatigue thing. That was a mini burnout, but burnout stages we'll talk about, new reality. So, it's when you feel apathy, like you cannot even be bothered anymore. You can't even do the adrenaline thing, like, oh my god, rush. mm, they try to stage burnout, and you stage burnout according to cortisol and all, but just exhaustion. Burnout is easy. You don't have to stage it or anything like that. I think by listening to somebody's story, you can tell, okay, they're either teetering on the edge of it and just about surviving but not thriving, or like deep in burnout. When you're deep in burnout, it's quite I don't know. I mean, some people will seek out help, but some others will retreat even more, and that's counterintuitive. Yeah, so it really depends. I think everyone's help-seeking personality is different also. Okay, so you're constantly tired, you're fatigued, when you think, you like have to write things down, your memory just doesn't hold it properly. Or when you want to do something, it just feels like complete overwhelm, like you don't even know what to do next. Or I'll walk into one room and go, what did I even walk into this room for? And then it cycles because my mood wasn't great in the first place, and then I feel like, what's wrong with me? I don't understand, and I feel really shitty about myself, and then it affects your mood and it affects your sleep because there's anxiety that comes into the picture as well. So it's one big cloud of stuff. This is burnout. Okay, when There are a lot of people in Singapore and in the world who are teetering on the edge of burnout. They're not. They're just like, oh yeah, I can, and they have no motivation. But there's coffee, right? That kind of thing. So we're teetering on the edge of it, and we're actually using substances and using coffee to get through. You see, rather than using coffee from, I'm good, but I just want that extra perk, or I love the taste. When I use coffee and tea in this manner, then look at the rest of the immune system and all this. If you can carry on, then this way, then of course the body is going to get lower and lower in immunity. When we're burning out, you think about it, the clue is in the word burn. You're burning a lot of energy, you're burning through your nutrients, then you get nutrient deplete. Okay, so the first layer is always fix the nutrients first, get the person stable. When they're feeling that the energy is a little bit better, then you can feel, okay, I feel more confident now about my abilities. I feel more confident to make plans. I feel more confident to commit to things that with friends and all these things that really make you happy. It's so dark now and it's raining. I don't know this. Yeah, I think I can still see myself, so that's okay. Um, and you see, when I describe the journey from, the first burnout being at medical school, and then saying like 10 months ago, let me just give you timelines of how long it takes to peel layers and layers off. Showing my age now, I can't even count. What's that? 2007, 2007 to 2007. Yeah, like 10 years. Right? So recovering from burnout is fast. It's quite fast, actually. You top up your nutrients, 2 weeks, yeah, you feel better. But if you keep doing the same thing, and if you keep having the same mental, emotional tape playing in your head and running, you take the supplements and then you burn, and you take the supplements and you burn, it will happen again and again. And this is not true recovery. I better let that thunder go. You know? So that's really what I have to say. And when I talked about the levels of healing, definitely I used a therapy for myself in every single level. So I made sure that I had my spiritual life. I had studied hypnotherapy and practiced it on myself, family constellations, psychotherapy, good having and having good mentors. Um, I am a great fan of Chinese medicine and then went to study that as well. And of course, I'm, a functional medicine qualified doctor. So I was using all those areas. And even then, yes, there are quick recoveries, or at least it helped me to avoid being too sick for too long because I had the tools. But even then, you don't escape the fact that you have to constantly do the work. And by the work, I mean the mental, emotional work. So, many of you that I coach as well, we get your energy up enough and great, but we want to build that resilience and that immunity from burnout long term, because no point we work great for 3 months and then you revert to your own ways again and you can burn out again, like what happened to me 3 times. I think I was teetering on burnout the whole life, right? So I was working on stuff that was, my time management. I had poor relationships, huge breakup back then, 10 years, no, more than 10 years ago, unstable, angry, anxious, hopeless. And it went deeper and deeper each time as well. I came from a background of divorced parents, and it was I had violent background in my childhood. I was violently treated. And a lot of it goes back to that. But if you don't fix your nutrients and you don't have the right herbs and tools, you're not going to have the energy to process these things and heal from a deeper level in order that you carry on your life in a new normal and a new state. Okay, so enough of the sad story. I don't really like talking about sad stuff. It is important, but there is already a lot of sad stuff going on with COVID. But I think what I want to say is that, I really do enjoy, and it's such a juxtaposition because it's raining cats and dogs and we're in the middle of COVID. There is a lot of sadness in the world today and a lot of inability to express hurts and sadness because people don't even have the words to say. And yet I experience joy and inner peace right now in this time. And look at us, we're 60 people in the group, in a webinar together and learning together. I mean, like, who launches a course in the middle of COVID, right? But I was led to do this, and I feel like all my experiences have given so much more meaning now that I can help you all. But a very important part of this as well for everyone, and a lot of you are in a position to help your community, your friends, and your family as well. A lot of you are in, holding positions of leadership. You especially type A and very successful people, or people who have a little bit of perfectionism as well. You want to give, but the problem is that you can give too much and not have your boundaries in place as well. So all of these are really important. Okay, and these are the things that I help people to figure out, or at least try to influence them in some way, like I'm doing with you right now, and it really has become my calling to awaken people, especially mummies, because we have really a direct influence on our children and sometimes our husbands as well, who sometimes have no choice but to be in the grind because they tend to be the major breadwinners. So the guys in here, kudos to you, because you are the major breadwinner, and sometimes you're doing something that maybe doesn't really gel with your true purpose, and that's hard. Yeah, that's hard. So we want to lead awakened lives, and the fact that you're in this group, you're already like on step there, and to take care of your mind, really, and then tying this back into like non-toxic living and being very balanced with the fear and the belief thing, fearing all the toxins in the environment, yet believing that your body can do it, and the body is infinitely beautiful and awesome, and when we give it the right nutrients and treat it right, it's going to flourish, right? It's like, even on the pavement, we always see weeds grow. Life prevails. Yeah. So to focus your beliefs on that, and this is here to give you that hope and to set the tone for how we're using our nutrients. Okay. Right, so I'll end here with that. Otherwise, it becomes like, nagging and all. The handouts are a little note on amalgams, which I've already touched on, and a handout on the journal template. And I'll give you that framework, the 5 levels of healing. It's really interesting because within each levels, there are suggestions of therapies that are recommended. So you pick and choose according to your beliefs as well. Okay, aha moment. So I'm going to go through the questions. I've answered some of them as I've gone along. So now it's like question time. And GI, Xiangyong, you'd asked about GI work and about assimilation and absorption. Yeah, so a lot of physicians will work differently. Some of them really dive into the gut right first. For me, you see, one of the examples I'll just give you as an example. Zinc is required for the production of hydrochloric acid. And hydrochloric acid is the first pass where in your stomach is the acid that breaks down and turns everything into the right pH so that it can be absorbed and assimilated later. So if you're lacking in zinc, that first step is gone, finished. Yeah. So that's why for me, it's the nutrients first. In reality, with me and my patients, we are doing a few things, at the same time. And say, for example, if the main issue is an autoimmunity with a very reactive gut and lots of bowel symptoms, then yes, we are going to already be appeasing the gut, even at the same time as the nutrients went on. So, just trying to simplify things. Meridian therapy, self-care, yeah, and a good night's sleep. I mean, this is just key. I mean, there are people struggling, and I struggle as well. Hands up. I mean, like I'm, looking at my phone and answering, messages at night and all. Um, there is no amount of functional medicine or TCM or counseling or hypnotherapy that can replace sleep. Okay, we are creating growth hormones, very healing molecules. Melatonin is a great antioxidant. If you just allow yourself 8 hours for the body to rest and regenerate itself, you don't have to do clever things like go on to intermittent fasting or anything. All this 365 days of 8 hours good sleep a day is going to make me look good. It's gonna, your supplements are gonna work so much better. Your food is gonna be absorbed so much better. So sleep is super important. There's this book by Andrew Walker. Everyone's talking about it. I haven't read it, but I know he's talking about sleep in that book in a very compelling way. And that sleep and state of mind for me are like the number one things. Self-care routine, yeah. Alkaline water, no, I don't have used that in my protocol so much. And if you were to, I would advise that you take alkaline water away from meal times because hydrochloric acid needs to be acidic, and most people's stomach pH are not acidic enough, and then it affects digestion. So I can imagine that if you're using alkaline water during that time, it's just not gonna be great in the long term for killing bugs in your stomach, and then later on you get this dysbiosis or issue or easily get gut infections. Okay. All right. So victim of burnout, aha moment. So yeah, watch. Nina said it real well. What's in your mental diet? So we're focusing so much. We're wanting to control things around us so much. All the uncontrollables, your diet and all this, and trying to hack sleep and try to buy organic and all that. But the real stability, immunity, and control comes from your thoughts and your inside. Okay, so when you're doing regular 20-minute self-care, you'll come into this knowledge of what you need yourself. Yeah, so with healing, there is no way, you guys are all ready to do and fix your body, but everybody's healing journey is different. It's not for us to impose on them. So if you're ready to heal and seek help, you are, and some people really are not. I mean, I just pray for them. Yeah, so sometimes in this situation, the more you push, the more someone's gonna go away, right? So that's my advice, especially those of you who have family members and people close to your heart that are ill and don't want to seek the help. They have the freedom to not seek the help as well. Okay, and fasting, resetting. So, Kira, that's a really good question about fasting. So, fasting has great benefits, wonderful benefits, resting the gut as well. But because we are in a group of mummies and burnout and nutrient deficits, fasting during this time may be perceived by the body as a stressor. When we are nutritionally replete, good levels of nutrients and have a level of resilience, then fasting is rest. During fasting, your body has enough nutrients to create healing factors and enzymes and growth factors. But if someone is terribly iron deficient and no magnesium in the system and zinc is all off, you fast the healing is just not going to catch on. And then you can compare people doing intermittent fasting to people who are doing yo-yo dieting. Their cortisol profiles are the same. So I'm not saying it's bad, but it has its place, but the timing is very important. So for my crowd, and all of us have experienced burnout or mummies and things like that, I would just say not eat 3 hours from bedtime. So if you go to bed at 10, and please try to go to bed at 10, then 9, 8, 7. So finish dinner by 7 and just close shop. Don't go to the kitchen anymore. At the most, drink water. So from 10 p.m. until 8 a.m., you have a natural fast. That's why it's called break fast. So you do that 365 days a year with this very constant routine. You are going to lay the foundations for good health. Okay, so the rest I will. Yeah, most people are burnout. Yeah, vitamin D taken with K2. Yes, I agree with that. We'll talk about that later as well, and sleep also. So we'll answer the rest of the questions off, but we've covered our topic for woo thunder. Okay, so staying joyful in times of flux. All of you are here with me doing this. I congratulate you for sitting till the end of the lecture. Wonderful. Carry on with your questions, and I'm here for you. You can even PM me if you feel not comfortable talking publicly about it. And a little bit more housekeeping at the end. I will, at the end of the course, after we've done our last lecture, I'm going to be sending you out my calendar, and we're going to be booking our calls in already. There are 60 people, so realistically, I'll be getting through the calls within a month after all this. And I really look forward to speaking to each and every one of you to be able to get your plan together. Okay, thank you, everyone. Bye. Lots of love.